Okay, let's start our session, everybody. So we have stopped with the exercise number 2, I believe. We have finished exercise number 1. Can you just confirm to me that we have finished exercise number 1? We are with the records using also functions. Can you confirm? You can speak all right in the chat section. Can you answer, please? Do you know how to use the software? Okay, so thanks. Let's move to the exercise number 2. So let me read again. I think that we have done the first question. Let me confirm to me if we have done the first question, but it's okay. We will explain this again. So first question says, let me just read the exercise first. So the exercise says, considérons les types d'enregistrement suivants. So the exercise gives you 3 records. Let me just explain them one by one. Alors, le premier record is T-point. So T-point, I can represent it like this. Let me just use here software to do the job. So I can use this Epic pen. Okay. Okay, let me explain this. So you have first a record T-point. So T-point contains, look at it here, T-point contains 2 fields inside. You have X and Y. So X, Y are integers, okay? And then just after T-point, you have the record position, T-space. You have the record T-space. So inside T-space, you have a record named position. That means that T-space is like this. T-point is inside T-position. This is a variable named position, okay? And it is from type T-point. And in addition to position, you have also another variable named superficie and altitude, which are integers. So you have here superficie and altitude. Both are integer, okay? And then you have a third record, which is tvil. Knowing that inside tvil, you have a variable from type info_g, a variable named info_g from type T-space. It means what? It means that this is tvil, right? And you have inside it a variable named info_g, which is from type T-space, okay? So this is info_g, which is inside tvil. And you have also the name of the TV, the name of the town. So you have here no, and you have mbh, which is the number of inhabitants. So all of this is the type tvil, all right? So you have here 3 levels of records, okay? You have 3 levels. Level number 1 is tvil, okay? This is it, which is the biggest one. And inside you have another level, which is info_g from type T-space. And inside T-space, you have position, which is from type T-point, okay? So you have 3 levels of records. So last time we have done the first question, but let me just remind you about the question. Donc, écrire une fonction distance qui renvoie à la distance entre 2 points. So we have written this function by giving 2 variables of type T-point, okay? 2 variables of type T-point. It means they are records, and we have calculated the distance using the Euclidean distance rule. And we have used the square root, and we have suppose that we have a function that calculates the square root. Okay, so this time We move to the next question, and it will take us all the TD session. So it's an interesting exercise. So focus here with me. Donc, soit un tableau de Enville. So here you have an array of what? Of TV. You have an array of records. Okay, you have an array of records named T, composed of n ville, n town, knowing that n is less or equal than 100. So the first question is écrire un algorithme permettant de remplir le tableau T. So let's speak about this first. Let me use here the whiteboard to explain this. So this is a good opportunity to draw things because we don't have this opportunity when we do the TD in presential, in real life. But here we have the possibility of drawing very easily. So look, we're going to use an array named T, and T is what? T can be represented as follow. So you have 100 elements, which is the maximum capacity. So this is how do you declare T. So T is an array. 100 is given by the exercise of Tville, right? Of Tville. So here we have 100 element of type Tville. So we have 100 record. All right. So this is the first record, and you have the second record, and you have the third record until the 101. Okay. So, but of course, we're going to use only n, the n given by the user, and we will read it through the keyboard. So let's here just represent what we have. So inside the first element, we have the 3 level of records. So what do you have here? You have the name of the town. You have the NBH, which represents the number of inhabitants. And you have also info-G. Info-G, which contain what? Contains the position. So you have here another variable named position. Inside position, you have X and Y. And you have also the altitude, and you have the superficie, all right? Those are the information that we have, okay? So in each element from T, we have exactly the same thing, okay? This is how you should visualize the array T. So the array T is a record in which each element of it is a record from type Tville, and each element of it has all the 3 levels of record. Is this clear? So I think this is clear. So now let's read the exercise and try to write the solution together. So let's go back to our exercise. Let's erase this. So écrire soit un tableau de T n ville. So you have n town. And we need to specify this in the exercise. Donc, écrire un algorithme permettant de remplir le tableau T. So let's start with this one. So this question should be easy. So you only need to use what you have learned from the chapter of records. So let's do it together. So here I will use this. I will write through my keyboard. So pay attention here very carefully. All right, so let's start by the header, because here we have a full algorithm, right? So I will write the header like this. So algorithm, given name, EXO2 rec, because we are with the series of record. And of course, as you know, in the algorithm, in the declaration part, if you have types, you should begin with them. So we should begin with types. But since the types are given by the exercise, I'm not going to write them again. All what I'm going to say, I say types already declared, all right, and given by the EXO, right? And just after type, you have the var part. In the variable part, you know this already. I hope that you know. If you have functions and procedures, you need to write them in the variable part because functions and procedures are smart variables, and we have said this. So I'm going to say also the function distance is already written because we have done it the last time. So I say functions already written, right? Now we move to the variable part and we will declare our global variables. So the global variables, as we have seen during the parameterized function chapter, are the variables that are declared in the main algorithm. So what are the global variables that I should declare? I should declare, of course, the array. So in order to declare an array, you know this, we have done it during the first semester. You need to give a name to your array. So eventually T here. T is an array that contains, it is given by the exercise, 100 element of TVL as we have explained. Okay. And of course, you need to declare all the necessary variables that you need to work with, because when you work with arrays, you must use a counter, you must use the famous n, which is the number of the elements, and we will see if we need something else. Okay, let's leave it like this now. If we need something else, we can always go back to the declaration part and declare the necessary variables. Now we will focus on the first question, which is, I will do this, question 1, fill the array T. So what's the first thing we should do? We should read the number of the elements as we always done. So the first thing, I will force the user, repeat read n. This is just like the usual, until n is bigger. Where's the symbol of bigger here? On this keyboard, I'm using another keyboard. All right, let me just do this. So I'm going to say superior equal, it's okay, superior equal to 1 and inferior. Inferior equal to 100. So we have here the maximum capacity. So now we move to the fill-in. So how do we fill an array? In order to fill an array, of course, we need a loop. So the best loop to use is the for loop, because we know how many elements we should fill. So we know the number of iterations. So I'm gonna say for I goes from I'm gonna use the other symbol here. For I goes from 1, right, to 100. How do we fill in an array? The array of records here. Of course, you know this. You cannot fill a record at once. Instead, you need to fill the record field by field. So here you have the array T, which is this one. All right. And inside T, when we are at T1, okay, which is the first element, the I is equal to 1. So the record is T1. And inside T1, we have many fields to fill. So in order to access to the fields, all what you have to do is to put the number of, yeah, it's 2n here. Thanks. Yes, it's 2n. You're totally right. So here, because we have the number of elements, 100 is the maximum capacity. Okay, let me go back now to what we are doing. Of course, if you observe that I have forgotten something, just tell me, because I'm not focused with the writing. I'm focused with the explanation. So let's go back. So we have T1. T1 is an array, is a record. T is the array. T1 is the record. So in order to fill in the fields, you need to put the points and also to respect the levels. So at level 1, we have what? Let's do it. So read, I'm going to write here, read T1. At level 1, I have, you can check on your series, I have non. This is how it is written. So level 1, field non. And just after it, at level 1, you have also TI. It's TI, not T1, okay? It's TI, which is the counter. TI, you have the NBH, which is the number of inhabitants, okay? This is level 1. So here, this is non, okay? And MBH. And of course, I have here M4G. I need to access to M4G in order to fill in the position and fill in the altitude and superficie. So if I wish, I can just stop here and go to the line. It's not important. You can do it at once, but here just to organize things, I prefer to do this. I prefer to do this. So next thing to do, I will read the information of the next level, which is what? It's M4G. But pay attention, do not put the names of the types here. It's not T-space. You need to put M4G, which is from type T-space. M4G is from type T-space. Okay. The variable is M4G. So M4G, and then you have another level, which is what? Which is superficie, right? Let me just check if it is right. Yes, you have superficie, which is at the level of M4G, superficie. And then you have also another field on the same level. So M4G dot, let me check, it's altitude. Yes, altitude, which is the next level. And then you have also here, I'm going to go to the line. You have also what? In T-space, M4G, you have a variable named position, which is from type T-point. So in order to fill in this record, we need to access to its fields. And position has two fields, X and Y. So in order to do that, the same thing, I will write the path from the first level till the third level. So I have TI point M4G point position point X. This is how you do it. Okay. Level 1, which is TI. This is level 1. Okay. And then you have level 2, which is M4G. This is M4G. And inside level 3, you have position. Okay. And position has inside the field X. Okay. So the same thing applies for Y. All right. This is how we do. TI dot M4G dot position dot Y. That's it. So I finished with the first question. We can stop here, even if we can do the second question at the same time, but it's okay. We will organize the exercise as the first thing we did was to fill the array. All right, so now let's move to the second question. You can write N4 or done, it's okay. Question 2. Here you can write done or N4, it's same thing. So now let's move to question 2. Let's go back to our series. Are there any questions for now? Are there any questions or it's clear? I think it's clear, but of course, at your level, you need to ask questions if there are ambiguities. All right, so let's move now to the next question. So next question says, afficher la distance entre deux villes A et B. Display the distance, yani the value of the distance between town A and town B. So what does this imply? This implies that we need to ask the user to give us the town A and the town B and look for these towns inside the array T. And once we find them, we calculate the distance between them using the function distance that we have did last time. And we give the town A and B to the function so we can do it, all right? I forgot to say also something, and I done it with the last group, I think, group 3 or 1, I don't remember. So here, for the fill-in, I could have written a procedure that do it. So let's give the alternative of this solution. So I could have done here, I will write it and I will highlight it so you can see. So I will do here something like this. Option 2. We'll do here a commentary. Option 2 for fill in. I can build a procedure that will fill the array. So let me show you how. So I can do procedure. I can name it, for example, fill v. Name it anything you want. It doesn't matter. And as a parameter, I need to give it two parameters. One as input output and one as input. So as you know, the input parameters are the parameters that do not change after the procedure. So here I need to give the size of the array because the procedure needs this information in order to know where to stop in its loop. Okay, so I'm going to do I slash and specify the size. I can give, for example, here, just to make the difference between the global variables and the formal parameters, but they can be both the same. But here, just to make the difference, I can name my size as if I want to. Okay, size. This is what? This is an integer. The size is an integer. And of course, the second parameter is the array that I want to fill. And I will give it as IO. IO means input, output. It means that when I call the procedure, the parameter that I will give, it will be changed. Okay, so this is what I want to do. I want to fill the vector. So the procedure will receive the vector and fill it. So I can give it a name, anything I want. I can name it L if I want. L is an array 100 of tvil, right? So those are the two parameters of my procedure. And of course, for the procedure, I need to declare a counter. Also, the counter, I can give any name I want, but I can use I eventually. And this I is a local variable. I is an integer, right? And what can I do? I'm going to do for begin, of course, begin of the procedure. Okay. And I will only do the same thing as I did here. Just I will change the name of the array. So I'm going to do this. For I goes from 1 to S, not to N, because the size is S in the global, in the formal parameters. So look at here. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to change this S, which is the size. Okay. I'm going to do the parallel. And you have here, the name of the array is L. So whatever I have L, I will replace it by L. And this is how the fill-in is done using the procedure. So let me just put this here. This is here. I'm going to replace the T with L, okay? That's it. And then I have end. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to highlight this so you can see that this is optional. It's not necessary, but you can do it, right? You can build a procedure. And let me show you how to call it. So in the action part of the main algorithm, so this is the action part of the main algorithm. So I could have replaced this, right? I could have replaced this. I'm going to do it as optional. Now calling procedure optional. How do I call the procedure? Who can tell me here? Who can tell me? Either you can speak or you can write on the chat section if you want. Tell me in the chat section, how can I call the procedure? The procedure is name. The name of procedure is fillv. You can see it here. Tell me how to call it in the action part if I want to replace the code of the fill-in. I'm waiting for your answers, okay? Try to answer in the chat or you can speak. I think you know how to use Google Meet. I think you have sessions online. Somebody to tell me how to call the procedure in the action part, please. No one. Yeah. That's it, Lena. That's it. So this is how we do it. It's good. Yeah. Good answers. So this is exactly how we do. So we put the name of the procedure, right? We have named it fill V. And then I'm going to do a correspondence, a projection of the effective parameters on the formal parameters. So here, the formal parameters of fill V are two. There are two. I have the size, okay? And I have an array. So in my main algorithm, which one is the size? Which variable represents the size? It's n. So I will replace it. I will put it in the first position of the parameters. And then in the second part, in the second parameter, I have put L, which is an array of tvil. So the global variable, which represents an array of tvil in my main algorithm is t. So this is how I do. And that's it. So this is how you call your procedure. You only need to put its name and call it independently from any other action. You cannot, for example, do s receives fill v or write fill v or if fill v. You cannot use it in an instruction. You know this. When you call a procedure, you need to call it independently from anything else, just like that. All right. So this is optional. We could have done this instead of writing the fill-in in the main algorithm. All right. So this alternative will allow you to see the flexibility that you have when writing procedures. Okay, let's continue now with the second question. Second question says, calculate the distance, display the distance between two towns. So again, let me here explain. So you have the array T. Array T is like this. So you have many towns inside. Let's say that, for example, I have whatever I have here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 towns. And let's suppose here I have Alger, I have here Blida, I have Annaba, I have Oran, whatever. I have here Batna, right? So each town has its own information, the information about its coordinates, about the size, the altitude, etc., etc. So the goal here is to ask from the user to give me a town A and B. So for example, if the user has given Annaba as the first town, and the second town is, for example, Alger. All right. So what I need to do, I need to look for the information of Annaba and Alger in the array. Why? Because in order to calculate the distance between Alger and Annaba, I need their coordinates, okay? X and Y. And their coordinates are inside the record position. And the record position is inside info G, which is inside each of the towns, okay? Each town is a record and has its own information. So in order to do that, I need to look for in the array. So to do this, I have given an idea last time, but you can do it with many ways, but I have given an idea. I can, for example, here use two variables, P1 and P2. P1 and P2 will play two roles. They will represent the index of the towns that I am looking for. So here, for example, P1 at the end will be 1 because I'm looking for, no, it's 3 because Annaba is at position 3. And P2 will be 1 because Alger is at position 1. Once I get these indexes, it will be easy for me to access to their information. Because when I have T1 and T3, I can simply access to their info Gs, info G of T1 and info G of T3 to get their positions. And once I have their positions, I can calculate the distance. Okay. Once again, I have also the possibility of writing a procedure that does this job. I can write a procedure that calculates P1 and P2. Okay. So let's do it. So here I will go back to my declaration part. It's optional also. You can do it, you can write it directly in the main algorithm, but since we are training with the parameterized functions, it's good for you to see how we can do it. So I will write here procedure. So I will name it procedure. I'm going to give it another color when I finish. So procedure, let's name it, for example, name it anything you want, huh? A, B, Vils or anything, something like that. Okay. So this procedure, I need to think about it. I need to give it some parameters, and this procedure will give me results. So let's say that I will give it the array. So in order to give it the array, I need to give also the size of the array, because you cannot go through the array if you don't have its size. You can't know where to stop. You need to give the parameter. So I will do what? As I will give the size, which is n, which is an integer. And even the array, I will give it as I, because I'm not going to change it. I will just use it, okay? So I'm going to say, for example, v array 100, right, of tvil. And as a result, I need to get P1 and P2. So let's name them. I'm going to do IO. I can name them P1 and P2. It's you can give it the same names if you want. Let's name them P1 and P2. So P1 and P2 both are integers. So at the end of this procedure, I will get the towns, the indexes of the towns. But there are three possibilities here. I have said it last time when we did the TD. We have three scenarios. The first scenario is we can find them both. So this is the ideal scenario. It means I can calculate the distance if they exist both. The second scenario is that I can find only one of them. If I find only one of them, I cannot calculate the distance because it doesn't make sense. Can you calculate the distance between Annaba and some town that you don't have? No. The third scenario is both they don't exist. If both do not exist, I cannot calculate the distance. So in order to address all of this, I will use the so we have said we'll use P1 and P2 to indicate the position of the towns that I am looking for inside T. So, but I need to consider all these scenarios. So in order to consider all these scenarios, I will initiate P1 and P2. I will initiate them to, let's say, -1 and -1. It means that for now, I don't have any town, all right? P1 and P2 initialize to -1, okay? And let me just use here another column for this procedure. Okay. And I will start looking for them. So in order to start to look for them, I will opt for the while loop, not the for loop, but the while loop is better here because you have seen during the first semester when we are looking for something, it's better to use the while loop because we don't know when to find and we don't know if we will find. So we are not sure of how many iterations we have. So we will look for until we stop. So we stop in two scenarios. Either we have found what we are looking for, or you have gone through the whole array and not find anything. So in order to do that, I will use another counter I, starting from 1, okay, starting from the first element, okay, and I will launch my while loop. So I'll say what? While I is less or equal than what? Than n, which is the last. Let me just insert that symbol. All right. While n is less or equal than n, and I need to specify also that I didn't found P1 and P2. So how can I do it? So you can tell me here. What's the right condition? While P1 is equal to -1, it means as long as I didn't find the first town, or P2. Who can tell me why or not and? There is a particular reason here why I have chosen or and not and. Who can tell me why? It's because I need to continue searching even if I found only one. Because this one gives me true if one of these is true. It means if I found P1 and still didn't find P2, I continue looping and searching inside the array. All right? Because if you do here and, if one of them is false, it means that you stop. So no, you shouldn't stop if you find only one of them. This is the logic behind. So what do we do inside here? Inside the while loop, I will check. So how will I check? I will check. And I have forgotten something here. You didn't tell me, so I was expecting that you tell me on the chat, but you didn't tell me. I have forgotten something in the procedure, in the parameters. What should I give also to the procedure? How will I check? How? I need something else. What do I need here in this procedure? Who can tell me? Yeah. Yes, Moj, I need the name of the towns. Because if I am looking for something, I need to have that something. This is logic. So how can I get these? Well, you have two ways. You can do read, but as you've seen in the chapter of parameterized function, it's always better to give the parameters as inputs to your procedure. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to go back to our main algorithm, okay? And here we are going to declare A and B as strings because they are the name of the towns that I am looking for. Let me just here put, no, it's this. No, not here. What is the main algorithm? Main algorithm is not here. It's underneath. So here is where I'm going to declare A and B, which are two strings, will represent the names of the towns that I am looking for. And of course, here, question 2, I need to ask the user to give me A and B, the towns that I am looking for. Now, I think, I hope that you are following. But I will post this video on YouTube so you can follow it very carefully. If you didn't understand, you can go back and rewind the video if you wish. So let's go back here. We have said that we are looking for two towns, town A and town B inside the array V, which is the formal parameter, okay? So I need them as inputs. So I will add them to the parameters. So I/AB, they are strings, okay? They are two strings. So inside the loop, let's go back now. Inside the loop, what should I check? I should check if the town VI, okay? If vi.null equal to A, it means if the element I, which is the town I, is the town A. So what should I do? I should say that P1 is the index I. I'll show you an execution just after, okay? All right. This is the first control, first check-in. I can do exactly the same with the town B. I'm going to do copy paste. It's very simple, just like that. vi.null if it equal to B, so P2 is I, right? And of course, don't forget to increment I, all right? Don't forget to increment I to go to the next element. And this is how I will close my while loop. All right. This is how I close my while loop. All right. This is it. End. So at the end of this At the end of this procedure, I will have given the result in P1 and P2. And I can use P1 and P2 in the main algorithm. All right, last time with the other group, I don't remember very well, but we have treated the P1 and P2 inside the procedure. It's also possible, but here we'll do it another way. So here you can see that from group to another group, you can see a variant of solutions and a way of solving solutions. Okay, so let me just show you here a quick execution of this procedure here. So I will do it on this array. So let's take A and B as A is Annaba and B is Alger. So at the end, I need P1 and P2. P1 needs to be 3 and P2 needs to be 1. So let's execute it very quickly. Look at here. So I will initialize here P1 and P2 to -1. All right. And P2 to -1. And then here I have the index I that starts from 1, which represents the element that I am, the current element of my loop. So I is here first, right? So I will what? I have here a loop. While 1 is less or equal than how many towns I have here? I have 5. So while 1 is less or equal than 5 and P1 is equal to -1, P1 is equal to -1. So here you have an OR. So it's enough to have P1 as -1 to consider this logical operation as true. So you have what? You have true and true. So true and true gives you true. So you enter the loop. So when you enter the loop, what do? You check if VI, what's VI? VI is V1. V1 is the first town. If V1.no equal A, is it equal to A? A, we said it's Annaba. No. So I'm not going to do that. So go back to the next instruction. If V1.no equal B, B, we said it's Alger. Yes, it's Alger. So I will save the position of the town B in P2. So P2 is 1, right? Okay. And after that, I will increment the I. I will go to the next element, right? To the next element in the array. So loop again. So when we loop, what do you have here? You have 2. 2 is less or equal than 5 because you have 5 towns. And P1, is P1 equal to -1? Yes, this is true. And you have or P2 equal to -1. Is P2 equal to -1? No. P2 is 1. I have modified it because I have found the town B, which is Alger. Okay. So you have true or false. True or false gives you true. True and true gives you true. So you enter the loop. You check if V2 is the town A. No, it's Blido. Right. You check if V2 is town B. No, I have already found it. So no, you increment I. I is becoming now 3. And here you arrive to the third town. So you loop again. 3 is less or equal than 5. P1 is -1. Yeah, it is -1. Or P2 is -1. No, it isn't. But here you have true or false. So you have true. You enter the loop. What do? You will check the town number 3. T3.name is Annaba. Yes, it is Annaba. P1 becomes what? Becomes 3. Okay. And then what do? You do I receives I plus 1. So I goes to 4. But this time around, when you loop, what do you check? You check that this condition will become false because yes, 4 is less or equal than 5, but P1 is not equal to -1 anymore. And P2 is not equal to -1 anymore. So you have found the 2 towns. You stop the loop. You break the while loop. And then you go back and finish the procedure. This is how you do it. All right. So in this section, we have only built the procedure. So now let's see how to call it. So how do we call the procedure? Let's go back here. Tell me how to call the procedure this time. So in my main algorithm, let me just erase this. Can I erase this? No. Okay, wait. All right. Let's go back. So let's go back to the main algorithm. Let me erase this. Okay. So we arrived here. Second question, we have read A and B, right? So, and I have declared P1. No, it's not P2 and P2. It's P1 and P2. So you have P1 and P2, right? So how do you call? Tell me, how can I call this procedure? Let me show you just the header so you can figure it out. So here it is. Procedure ABville, you have two strings, you have a size, you have an array, and you have two integers. All right, who can tell me how to call the procedure ABville using our global variables? So in our global variables, we have the size is n, we have the array is t, and we have a, b, and p1 and p2. We have given the same names. So tell me, what should I write in the main algorithm to call this procedure? Answer on the chats, please. Let me see your answers. I'm waiting for your answer. Exactly. That's it. Narayan, that's it. Yes. All right, let's call it. So this is how we do. So we have read A and B. So let's call our procedure names ABville. So we'll give it what? The towns A and B, the names. We give it the size N, we give it the array T, and we give it P1 and P2. All right. So after this procedure, I have the results inside P1 and P2. So P1 and P2 has three scenarios. Either P1 and P2 stills -1 and -1. Either one of them is -1 and the other has a value. Either I have found them both. So how can I check if I have found both villes, both cities, before displaying the distance between them? Who can tell me how? I can simply check directly P1 and P2. So if P1 is different, all right? So let me just bring the symbol of let me just use directly the virtual keyboard. I have okay. So I have this. All right. So if P1 is different than -1, and P2 is also different than -1. So if both are different than -1, that means that I have found the two towns. If this is true, how can I display the distance between the two towns? I will use the function distance, and I will directly display the distance. So I can, for example, if I want to, let's do it, because usually we write directly the results. But if you want, we can say that the distance between town, can do that, comma A, don't forget about S1, and town B, all right, is, so I can do that, is what? How can I display the distance using the function distance? So of course I need to call it. It names its distance. What are the two parameters that I need to give it? To give it to it. Who can tell me? Knowing that you have the position P1 and P2, which have the indexes of the towns A and B. And of course, don't forget that when you call a function, you need to make a correspondence. You need to project the effective parameters on the formal parameters. And let me remind you that the function distance takes 2 points as inputs. 2 points, it means 2 records of type point. So, tell me. Can you give the answer? All right, nobody wants to answer. So it's T, index P1, means the town P1. And I need to access to its information. So what information it does interest me? It's the position. So in order to access to it, I need to, of course, specify the path from the level 1 until the level position. So inside P1, you have info G, all right? And inside info G, you have position. This is how you do. And you go the second, and you give also the second point. The second point is inside TP2. TP2, same thing. Info G, point position. And this is how you do it. That's it. Here I have called the function and finished. So that's it for question number 2. That's it for question number 2. All right, the last questions are very easy to do. Let's do them very quickly. Have you got any questions before continuing with the last questions? Okay. So let's move now to question number C. So afficher le nombre d'habitants de la ville la plus élevée. Display the number of the inhabitants of the highest town. What means the highest town? It means the town that has the biggest altitude. So the biggest value of altitude. So in order to do that, it's very easy. We will search for the town that has the biggest altitude. So in order to do that, very easy. It's searching the max of an array. So, and to make it simple here, I can declare here. So let's do both questions at once because both questions can be done at once. Look, question D says, afficher la position géographique de la ville la plus vaste. Donc, display the coordinates X and Y of the largest town. The same thing. I need to look for the town that has the maximum value of superficie. المساحة الكبرى, right? So how do we do that? I will declare here 2 variables. I'll name them max h to say the maximum of height and max s, the maximum superficie, all right? Those are integer and they will play the role of the indexes of the highest town and the largest town, respectively, all right? Okay. So in order to do that, I will initialize max L to the first town. I'll say max H to the first town. So I say max receives. Let me just bring the symbol here. Max receives 1. Okay. I can do also here functions or procedures that do this if I want, that do this job if I want to. Yeah, can do it if you want to. Let's do it. It's also another opportunity to practice. Why not? So let's build a procedure that do this. Okay. Let's use another color here to differentiate between the procedures. So for example, let's name it procedure. If I want to, I can also do functions. A function that returns the index of the highest town and another function that returns the index of the largest town. I can do this if I want to, right? You have a certain flexibility but it's okay. Procedure can be enough if you want. So let's name the procedure max H max S. All right, let's name it like this. So what should we give to this procedure to do the job? What should we give it? Tell me. Can you participate? Nobody. Is this color clear? I think it's clear, no? Okay, let me zoom in. So, what should I give to the procedure? All right, let me just do it. So I will give it what? The size, of course, or let's give another order of the parameters so we can call them in another order. So I'm going to give it the town or max. I can do IO, right? IO, I'm going to give it max H and max S. Let's name them the same if we want to. Those are integer. Those are the results that I'm looking for. And as I am going to give it the town, the array, of course. Let's name it T if you want to. T array 100 of tvil, and I will give it also the size. So the size is I/n, which is an integer. Okay. So I'm going to do here, of course, I need a counter. So I'm going to declare I integer and do begin. So I will do here, I will initialize max S, max H, which is the town of the highest altitude to 1. I'll suppose that it's the first. I'll suppose it's the first. Oh no. I will suppose it's the first town until I find another one. So max H is 1, and I'm going to do the same thing with max S. Okay, max S is 1, first town, okay? And here, I will start a loop. So my loop, I can start it from the second element because I have already initiated the first element. So I'm going to use this symbol here for I goes from 2. I goes from 2 to what? To n, which is a side. Do. So how can I check for if? Same thing. So if what? Who can tell me? How can I check for the maximum one? If T, if Ti point, so of course I need to do two things. Info G point superficie is bigger. Tell me. Is bigger than what? Than what? T. Who can guess?
T max H.
Yes. Max H. This is what I'm going to do. Point info G point superficie. If that is true, then max H will receive I. Okay? Will receive I. End of if. I'm going to do the same thing, exactly the same thing for the largest town. So if info G point altitude. Wait, this is no, highest means altitude. The altitude is here. Altitude is here, right? Highest town, max H, highest. Okay, and so if the I point FG, no, here altitude, first thing. Okay, then max H receives I. Second one is superficie, largest one. All right, largest one. If FOG ti.FOG.superficie is bigger than, all right, I'm gonna make this wider so you can take the whole. So if FOG.superficie is bigger than max S, okay, info g.superficie, then max s receives I. All right. And I will finish, done. I will end my for loop. My for loop starts from here and ends here. All right. It's obvious. So after finishing, I'm going to do end. So after finishing this procedure, I will have the max H and the max S. Then all what I left to do is display what the exercise asked you in the main algorithm. Let's go back now to the main algorithm. So here, remember and see the formal parameters so you can tell me how to call it. Look, wait. So this is, let me just go back. So here, look, this is the formal parameter of the procedure that we have just built. So as you can see, we have max H and S are the two first parameters as IO. Then you have the array is the second one, and you have the size is the third one. So let's go back to our procedure and our main algorithm. In my main algorithm, I have declared max H and max S. Now, how do we call them? Tell me, how do we call the procedure before displaying the number of the inhabitants of the highest town and the position of the widest town? How can I, yeah, so I'm going to erase this. Here I'm going to put IEF of this if, right, of this if. So when viewing the solution, I might have forgotten something because I didn't revise what I have written, focused with the explanation, but it's okay. Most important thing is that you understand the ideas and what to do. All right. Who can tell me how to call the procedure? Procedure, we have named it what? Max H, max S. What should I give it as parameters? Not only that, not only max H moj, it's not enough. You need to specify all the parameters. I have said this already last time. When you call a procedure or when you call a function, you need to give all the parameters. Who can tell me what all the parameters I should give? So max H, yeah, I have this. And did I name it like this? No. I named it, I think, without, not like you have written, Syrian. I think that I have put directly, yeah, it's max H directly. No. Max H with the underline, the underscore is the name of the procedure, okay? Max H, max S. What's the third parameter? Have you caught it? Look at here. The first parameter is max H. Second parameter is max S. Third parameter is the array. And the fourth parameter is the size. So, let me go back. Max H, after it what? You have the array, and then you have the size. Okay. And after finishing this procedure, I will get the results inside max H and max S. So it is asked from us to display the number of inhabitants of the highest town, right? Let me just check if that is the case. So, yeah, display. Katia Hand, your camera is on. You can turn it off. Hello. Do you have inhabitants? Can you just turn off your mics, please? All right. Afficher le nombre d'habitants de la ville la plus vaste. Donc, the number of the inhabitants de la ville la plus élevée. The number of the inhabitants of the highest tower. The highest town. All right. Let's go back. So how can I do it? Right. It's what? T. Who can tell me? I think it's obvious. Who can tell me? Max H dot NBH. That's it. The number of the inhabitants of the highest town. I have just found it. I found the highest town using the procedure max H and max S. And how to display the position, the coordinates of the town of the largest one. Same thing, T max S dot, the position is inside the record info G. Info G dot position dot X. Same thing with, I can do here comma, simple, I can do comma, copy, paste. So look at here. That's it. And I have finished. All right, have you got any questions? Let me just see if we didn't forget anything. All right, so you have here the types, you have the variables, and you have here the procedures. Procedure ABV, we have given 2 strings. We have given here the size, and we have given the fourth position. We have given the array and the 2 indexes in which I will store the towns that I am looking for. So we have executed this. We have seen that it works. And you have here another procedure, max H, max S. We have given 2 variables of type integers to store here. Talib, I'll check it. So max H and max S as IO, and we have the array. Abdelrazak, you will have the video. Okay, I will put this video on YouTube and share with you the link. So not only you will have the correction, but you have also the whole explanation. So you have here an array. And you have here the size. So here we have searched for the highest one. Where is the error, Alain? Can you just be specific? So max H starts from 1. Here you have 2 to N, info G, altitude, yeah. Then max H is I. Same thing with superficie here. And you mean here? In the calling part or in the building part?
يا شيخ جاب لي ربك زايد ار برك في الديكلاراسيون تاع التي.
Which T?
ماشي ديكلاراسيون في input تي كاتب.
Yeah. Okay. That's not okay. Yeah. All right. So let me just check the rest. You fill V. You have here the procedure that fills the array. And you have the global variables. Those are the global variables that we have used. And after that, you have the filling of the array. We have called the procedure here. You can do it here. It's optional. You can have both options. Just here to know, you need to pay attention here. This is optional, okay? Right? This is optional. This calling is optional. It's not necessary, because you could have just filled the array with a for loop. And then here we have read the town AB, so the name of the towns. We have called the procedure AB that do the job, and after that we have displayed the distance between the town AB, calling the function distance, and we supposed that the function distance is already written because we have done it last time. And of course, we have called the procedure max H max S to give us the indexes of the highest town and the largest town. And we have finished by displaying the information that was asked in the exercise. So that was it. I'll stop here. So I will stop the recording here.